Alright guys, and welcome to another Diablo video. My name is Jake, and today I'm going to be going over the Unhallowed Essence Fire Multishot Demon Hunter build. Now this is my main farming build, and I use it to also with my Multishot or my multibox team. And I'll be going over gear, the skills, the gems, stat priorities, Paragon, and then at the end I will go through how to actually play it in a normal rift. So for starters, let's go through the abilities here. For your generator, you're going to want a evasive fire with focus, and what this is going to do is going to allow you to generate more hatred with your generator. Multishot, obviously, with Arsenal. Arsenal is going to give you some rockets for extra added damage for 300%, and then you have Vengeance with Seed. Whenever this is active, it's going to give you increased hatred regeneration, so you can actually spam multi-shot longer. For your movement, you're going to get Vault with Tumble. Tumble is going to allow you to vault for a reduction in discipline cost in the next 10 or 6 seconds after you use it. Invigorate preparation is actually going to give you more discipline, and we'll explain to you why that matters, because in this build, discipline equals damage. And then lastly, you want Companion, Wolf Companion, and this is just for either the Wolf can either tank for you, or you can get a damage boost from him. Now for your 4 passives here, you're going to have 5 total, but it depends on whatever Hellfire Amulet you get. You want the 5 passives you do want is you want Ballistics, which is going to increase the rockets coming off of Multishot. This is going to anything hit by your Hatred Spenders. So your Multishot is going to be slowed for 80. And then you have Ambush, which is going to deal 40% damage to any enemies that are 75% of health. And then Awareness, which is going to give you basically a free cheat death. Now, the 5th passive is actually Call of the Week. And this is going to be increased damage against slowed or chilled enemies by 20%. And the reason this is good is because you have Thrill the Hunt that's actually giving you slow effects. And then some of your gems are also going to be giving you slow effects. Alright, so next to go over a little bit the gear and what you need specifically to make this work. Obviously you're going to need the 6 pieces of Unhallowed Essence, and then you want the Focus, the Restraint set, and then the Hellfire Amulet, Yang's Recurve, and Dead Man's Legacy. Now what's important here is each one of these pieces does something very specific. The bonuses for the Unhallowed Essence are as follows. Your generators generate 2 additional hatred and 1 discipline, so it's going to help you actually get some discipline back, because you want to keep max discipline at all times as much as possible. And then you gain 60% damage reduction and deal 60% increased damage for 8 seconds if there's no enemy within 10 yards of you. So this build is definitely standoffish. You're going to be staying away from the enemy as much as possible. And then the last one is a big one. Is your generators, Multishot, and Vengeance deal 40% more damage for each point of discipline you have. So that's huge, and that's your biggest thing. That's what you're trying. That's why you have Preparation and Invigorate, because you're basically increasing your damage by a lot by increasing it by 20. Alright, now just going over each one of the gear piece sets, your Hellfire Amulet needs to be damage crit for the most part. And then you need to have your 5th passive on it. For me, I have Call of the Week in there. And then your bracers can either be, with your pushing GRs, you need to have Wraps of Clarity down here, which can have Dex Crit and Bit or whatever else you want, AR. But I'm using Nemesis bracers just for farming, because it gives me an extra elite, or extra couple elites per rift with the shrines. But for each of these, for no matter which one you're using, you want to get the fire plus percentage stat on that, because Arsenal for Multishot is going to be fire based. And then you'll be timing that with Convention of Elements and getting, periodic damage boost. And then on the Focus and Restraint, you're going to want, either cooldown reduction, damage, either cooldown reduction, depending on what your cooldown reduction is, you're going to want either cooldown reduction or crit on either one. So you're just going to kind of roll whatever you need. Yang's Recurve, this is a really important piece and the only thing that makes this work, really. And the big thing here is it reduces the cost, your resource cost, i.e. Multishot, by 41%, and then it also makes Multishot fire 50% faster, so you can get more of those hits out. Now, The next thing is Dead Man's Legacy. This is also gonna Multishot's gonna hit twice enemies below 50% health. So you're gonna be getting hit bonus for ambush, the passive, and then you're gonna get another hit bonus for Dead Man's Legacy. Now another important thing with the gearing and the specking, you can roll this stuff as you need to and based on what you have, but what you want to be focusing on is you want to be focused on cooldown reduction. You want your cooldown reduction to be at least 37%, and what that's going to do is going to allow you to have vengeance up 100% of the time. And then on your Yang's recurve, your Dead Man's Legacy, and your chest piece, you want to have max discipline. I have 12 on my Yang's recurve, and then I have 12 on my Dead Man's Legacy, and I only have 10 on my chest piece. What that's going to do is going to give you even more discipline and do more damage, because if you roll in here without anything, let's say you don't have any discipline plus on your chest, and then you throw discipline plus on it, that is going to be a significant damage boost. And here in the Helm, you can either run, if you don't want to roll that much CDR on your gear, you can run an amulet, which gives you 12.5 cooldown reduction, so you can get more like things like crit and stuff like that. But really, how you balance it. Usually, when I'm farming, I'll run like 31 CDR, 31% CDR, and then throw a ruby in there for some extra experience or whatever. But the as far as the different slots, you should have to roll it based on what you have. Usually for my gloves, I'm trying to keep it to like dex crit, and then I'm trying to get CDR on things like my weapon and my quiver, and then shoulders I'll put CDR on, and then maybe amulet put CDR on. But it just depends on how everything lines up. You want to use the Witching Hour as well, because it's the only belt that has attack speed and crit damage on it. And this is interchangeable also with the Witching, or not the Witching Hour, but the Hunter's Mark, which allows you to shoot evasive fire even faster. But it's kind of just up to you. The best in slot is definitely going to be the Witching Hour. As far as your legendary gems go, you're going to be using Stones of Vengeance, and that's going to give you increased damage for every 10 yards between you and the enemy. And that just goes into staying with the 4-piece bonus of staying as far away from the enemy as possible and just spamming multi-shot. The next one is Bandit Trap. It's going to give you an aura. If they do get close to you, it's going to slow them. They'll take more damage based on your passives, and then you'll get the extra damage against them as well. And then use Bane of the Stricken, which is going to increase the damage for every attack you do towards the enemy, and also give you 25% against things like Rift Guardians and bosses. Now, Bane of the Stricken is actually interchangeable with Bane of the Powerful. If you're outscaling the content, i.e. farming, you put Bane of the Powerful in there, and if you're killing elites fast, it's going to give you even more of a damage bonus. But if you're not killing elites very fast in your rifts, if you're like pushing for a personal best, then I would just put Stricken in there, because it's going to give you more damage over time. Alright, as far as the cube goes, we use 3 different specific pieces. We're going to use Dawn, which is going to reduce the cooldown of Vengeance. It's going to help you with that CDR. It's going to help you keep 100% uptime. And then Vestige of Goonist, or whatever, however you say that, is Vengeance gains its effective Dark Ruin. And what that means is you're going to be getting this, which is your reduced damage taken by 50%, and you can also get Seethe for the Hatred gain. And then you obviously Convention of Elements. Everybody knows about Convention of Elements. It's great. You want it'll cycle through all of the elemental types. When you hit fire and your multi-shot, you're gonna get a big damage boost and everything, and that's gonna play in well with your fire percentage on your bracers. So that, and as far as the last thing we need to go over is Paragon, which is pretty simple. If you're doing seasonal and you're getting over 800, a lot of this is just gonna be filled up anyway. But as you're building it, as you're getting up in Paragon, there's a certain order that you want to go in order to maximize the effectiveness of this build. So starting with the core tab, you want to go for movement speed first, because you don't want any movement speed on your gear. Get all your movement speed from Paragon, and then you're going to go movement speed and then put everything into dex. Pretty simple, right? Offense, you're going to start with cooldown reduction, which is going to help with that uptime, and then you're going to go with damage and crit. Now, for me, I go damage and crit just because I already had a lot of crit chance on my gear. So if you have a lower crit chance, you might want to swap these out and go crit chance first and then damage, because damage is not good unless you're critting and you want to up your percentage of crit. And then lastly, obviously, you do attack speed. I wouldn't recommend doing attack speed first, because the faster you attack is great, but you can also burn through your hatred a little bit quicker as well. So it kind of makes a more stable build. The defense tab, you're going to start off at resist all, which is going to help your survivability, and then armor, then life, then lastly do life regeneration. And resist all is important just because you don't want you need to be standing in, like, you want to be standing in place and everything, but like you won't want to just die to like all these random affixes when you start getting higher GR. So it's really going to kind of help the quality of life for the build. And you know, you'll be using Vault to like back away from the packs as much as possible too. And I'll go over like how to actually play it in a Rift. For the last tab, the utility tab, you're going to start off with area damage, because we have I already have some resource cost reduction on my gear, which has just been on there since the item was rolled. But you want area damage, and then resource cost reduction, and then life per hit, and then you get gold fine at the end, whatever. If you're having a hard time staying in the hatred, so I would actually just do resource cost reduction first, but really kind of based on what kind of gear you've got. But eventually all these things are going to be filled. Once you get past 800, you're going to be just dumping everything straight into Dex. So with that being said, we're going to go and jump into a Rift, and then I'll explain everything and how the build actually works while you're playing it. I'm only going to do 55, even though this build can go up towards to like 70, but I'm just going to give you kind of an idea of exactly how to play this when you get here. Now, don't get too wrapped up if the mobs are staying really close to you. You're never actually going to get them to stay perfectly away, unless, you know, because most mobs are going to jump at you and everything like that. But the important thing about this build is to utilize Focus and Restraint buff, and you're alternating between Evasive Fire and Multishot. And you see when I hit Evasive Fire, I'll get a passive down here, and you want to keep both those up at all times, and that's going to give you a damage boost. And also just keep your hatred from actually running out. So that's just kind of like the main goal here. And there's not really, you don't want to really do a whole lot of mob skipping in Greater Rifts, just because you want to kind of you want the idea is that you're going to be able to get a damage increase by not having any mobs around you and being far away from the pack that you're shooting, based on Zystones of Vengeance and stuff like that. So it's easier to just kind of like kill everything as you go through the Rift. And you're also going to be just keeping Vengeance up at all times. And with a CDR of 37%, you're basically going to just be able to activate it every single time it's up, and before it runs out, you'll have it up all the time. You'll have that really nice damage reduction and hatred regeneration. Also, you'll be able to vault quite a bit with Tumble and skip through and get things done a little bit faster. And then when you get to a pack and you might have, you know, half discipline or something, you need to up your damage, that's the time when you use preparation and just kind of fill it up. But for the most part, you're gonna stay kind of maxed out on discipline as well. So what else? Champion, or the companion, is going to give you just kind of a damage boost against elites if you need it, and also the Rift Guardian, I'll usually pop it there as well. I'll almost always, you know, use the companion on cooldown and keep it up as much as possible, unless I'm just, you know, there's nothing around that really warrants it. But that is pretty much the build. I'm going to go ahead and just finish this Rift so you guys can check it out, and hopefully, if you have any questions, you can just, you know, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to help as best possible. Or if you want to send me your battle tag, and you have any problems with your gear, I can look at your rolls and stuff like that and offer you suggestions on what you've got going on. So I hope this video has helped you, and if it has, then hit that like button and the subscribe button. You can find me on social media at JakeLead, on Twitter and on Facebook, facebook.com/JakeLead, and also find me on Twitch, where I live stream Diablo every single day, and you can find me there at Jake Fuller, no space. Yeah, and that's about it. So I'm gonna like leave you to this and enjoy.